appreciate you all allowing me to come and spend some time with you today. My topic of choice is trust your judgment if you know how to exercise good judgment. And my byline, if you know how to exercise good judgment, is based upon something that my mother has told me for years and years and years. Because good judgment is basically common sense in my mind. And my mother always says, common sense ain't always that common. So that's why the byline, if you know how to exercise good judgment. So I want to start off using an example that is near and dear to all of us. Career decisions, right? So you all have to do internships. You're going to have to make decisions around which internship to accept or not to accept. Once you graduate and become professionals, whether you are an entrepreneur or an employee, you will have the opportunity to make decisions around what to do. So I'll kind of set the stage, take you back earlier in my career. I'm sitting at my desk one day, and I receive a call. I'm about 27 years old. I receive a call from the CFO of the corporation that I was employed with. And the CFO called to tell me, as you know, we're going through some changes in the corporation right now. I personally, at the time, was working in one of the divisions of the corporation. And he's like, we're going through some changes. We're going to be consolidating some of the accounting functions back to headquarters. And I want you to come back to headquarters and be on the team working one of the consolidated accounting functions. And I wanted to ask you personally and assure you that I will make sure that we find an area that you want to work in. So at the age of 27, to receive a call from the CFO saying, hey, we want you to come to headquarters, how do you think that made me feel? Great, awesome. So sitting there, I know that I have this great opportunity, right? So I can say, sure, sign me up, go to headquarters. Or I can say, I like where I am, I can stay there. Or I can say, oh, the one through changes, I'm not around that. I'm just gonna go find something else, right? So I have some choices to make, right? So I'll come back and let you know what I made, what decision I made. But at this point, I do have a decision I have to make. So I have to exercise judgment. And what is judgment? The ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions, right? So what is sensible for me may not be sensible for you or you. But I make those sensible conclusions based upon the facts that surround me and the impact that it will have on me and my personal situation, right? So this opportunity sounds amazing. And it did make me feel real good because, honestly, I didn't even know that the CFO knew who I was. Of course, I knew who he was, but I didn't know he knew who I was. So, but when you review the facts, regardless of how many options you have, you still should be able to confidently move forward and make a clear decision. So, let me share some additional facts with you. At the time, at the age of 27, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the assistant comptroller of a regional division. It was had 100 retail locations. So I was responsible for consolidating those financials. I had about 30 individuals reporting to me. They were not exempt, clerical, financial individuals reporting to me. So that was a pretty good gig. I mean, at that age, to have that level of responsibility. So staying there wasn't a bad option because I was in a leadership role and I was learning a lot. I had command of the accounting office. So staying there really was not a bad option. I lived in Atlanta and I was single. Staying there wasn't a bad option. So, you know, that's something I really had to consider. Additional facts. I was working 7 days a week. So Monday through Friday, I would come in at 6 a.m. and I would generally leave at 10 p.m. Because, remember what I said, I had almost 30 non-exempt clerical people reporting to me. So they were accounts payable clerks, accounts receivable clerks, they did financial analysis. But in the retail industry, margins are very, very thin. And remember, I also said that the CFO told me we're going through some changes and we're consolidating accounting functions back to headquarters, which means what? Cost cutting was going on, right? And so cost cutting going on, I have non-exempt people working, reporting to me means no overtime. So I had to watch the clock like a hawk and make sure that they did work their full 8 hours, but as soon as their time was up, I had to send them home. So while they were there from 9 to 5, I was their boss. And then when I'd send them home, I would literally go from desk to desk, and I'm working accounts receivable, then I was working accounts payable, then I was going and working bank reconciliations. And then around 9 o'clock at night, I'd take my heels off, and I would go in the mail room, and I would help the mail guy slot mails for the 100 retail locations. Now, I was doing that Monday through Friday. Then on Saturday, I'd come in for a regular 8-hour day to do my work as the assistant comptroller. And then on Sunday, I would try to, catch up some more on some other, but I'd only work 4 hours on Sunday. So I was working 7 days a week. Leaving now doesn't sound like a bad option, right? Because I was killing myself. I mean, I was in my 20s, I had the energy, I was single, I had anybody to worry about but myself, so I really did have the time. But I was quickly running out of energy because I was doing this for over a year now. So going to headquarters where the accounting functions would be consolidated sounds like an even better option now when you consider that. Additional facts. At this point, I've been working for this corporation for almost 6 years. I lived in New Orleans, then I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, then I moved to Atlanta. So, and during that time, I visited every division. I knew the company very well, had great relationships, but I knew the company very well. I knew the corporate culture very well. And over that 6-year time period, one of the things that I learned was that the corporate culture was not conducive to my personal values. Over that 6-year time period, I was able to assess and determine this is not a long-term career opportunity for me. So yes, I was excited to be in that leadership position. Even though I was working 7 days a week, I really was enjoying it because I was learning a ton. But when the CFO called me and said, we want you to come back to Jacksonville, the other thing is I had lived in Jacksonville for 2 years prior to coming to Atlanta, where I was on the internal audit staff. And I traveled 70% of the time when I lived in Jacksonville. That 30% of the time that I wasn't traveling, I was looking for opportunities to travel. Because Jacksonville was a nice town, but it was not my preferred geographical location, whereas I enjoyed living in Atlanta. So when I considered all of the facts and circumstances set before me, now which decision do you think I made?
Look for another opportunity.
Look for another opportunity. So that's why I say exercising good judgment is about considering all the facts and circumstances, because just being, 20-something, having a CFO call you, make this offer which sounds really appealing, I could have made a snap emotional decision saying, wow, this is really cool, because I know that there would have been other opportunities for me when I went to headquarters. But I also knew longer term, this was not the place for me. So I elected to sever my relationship with the company and do something else. Not because I left, but within 3 years, the company actually ended up in bankruptcy and went through a lot of significant financial issues. And when I was working for the company, it was a publicly traded company. Today it is no longer a publicly traded company. It got bought out, et cetera, et cetera. So even the longer term proposition, I feel very good about the decision that I made. And so again, it was just evaluating all the facts and circumstances that I had available to me. So this next slide says, consider feedback, but trust your instincts. No one knows you better than you. And again, this is along the lines of making decisions around your career, the kind of what to do next. A couple of things comes to mind that I wanted to share with you, just sort of real world. You experience it here in school, I'm sure, and you will absolutely experience it in the workplace. You're in a work environment, and it is your manager's responsibility to give you feedback about your performance, whether it's immediate, real time, once a year, twice a year, etc. It is their job to give you feedback about your performance. And it is the prudent thing to do for you to hear that and receive that. And so those things that the company is paying you to do, you need to make sure that you're doing it, absolutely. But while you're trying to manage your career, that's more than the debits and credits, right? It's about your relationship management. It's about who do you need to know, what do you need to do to get to the next level, to get that next opportunity. And I hear time and time again from individuals, people will come to me and they say, oh, I know that you have to have the right relationships. I don't know, how do I make friends here? How do I build relationships with this person, that person? I've gotten feedback that I'm too aggressive. I've gotten feedback that I'm too shy. I've gotten feedback that, I need to go out with my coworkers more. What do I do about that? And time again, when people ask me those questions, I tell them, what you do about that is you be you. You receive the feedback and you consider it. You understand how it's impacting your performance, but you have to be yourself, because I've been with Southern Company almost 20 years now, and I've seen throughout that time period people over and over again get so fixated on the feedback that they're given that they try to become the person that they're being told they need to become. Well, if you're my boss for 2 years and you're telling me, Delores, you're not speaking up enough, you need to talk more. And so I start talking more. And then you become my boss, and then you say, you're too aggressive, you need to pipe down something. And then you're saying, I don't hear you, what's going on? Now I'm confused, what do you want me to do? Because it does depend upon the person that's giving you the feedback. And so even though you receive the feedback and you temper what you need to do to be able to be successful and execute in the role, to thine own self be true, you still have to be able to look in the mirror and recognize the person that's staring back at you. One individual told me, I don't know how to make friends here. And I asked him, did you have any friends in college? He's like, yeah, of course I did. I said, well, how did you do that? Well, I just talked to people that were in my classes. I talked to people that worked on projects. Well, you do the same thing. We're all just people. The other one example, the don't accept a move that you don't want, and I'll give you this one really quickly. Dear friend of mine worked really hard on her career, and she worked really hard to become an executive. One day, received the call saying, congratulations, your work is paid off. We have an opportunity for you to be a vice president. It's in blah, blah, blah geographic region. You and your family have to move. And it was in a geographic region that this person did not want to move to. So we're friends. She calls me up and she's like, well, they called me, but I'll have to move to blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to move there. My family doesn't want to move there. I said, okay, well, you have 3 choices. You can take it, you can stay where you are, you can leave. Well, but they told me this is the only way I can, because all these years they told me do this, they do this. So my feedback to her was, you need to do what's right for you and your family. I can't tell you what to do, but if you don't want to go and your family doesn't want to go, I don't understand why you would take it. Cut to the chase, she took it, she moved, she was miserable, her family was miserable, and in less than 5 years, she severed her employment with that company. Because, again, you consider the feedback, but trust your instincts. No one can tell you what to do, except for you. I mean, not even your parents, as much as they love you. You know you better than anyone else. So this one is really just, it made me laugh when I saw it. Trust your hunches, they're usually based on facts, filed away just below the conscious level. It made me laugh because I've had to hire people throughout my career. And what I've seen time and time again is When I don't follow my very first mind, I always regret it. Because, you get consultation from other people. Sometimes it's people on panels. Sometimes you're just getting help from leaders, etc. Every time I've hired kind of my second or third choice, I regretted it. So when you become a hiring manager, pay attention to what your gut tells you. This next one is, good judgment is the result of experience, and experience the result of bad judgment. So the thing I want to share with you here is, you're all young, just starting out. And the benefit that I had to be able to have what I believe is good judgment, and I have been told by leaders, so listen to that, listen to them, that I do know how to exercise good judgment. But the benefit that I know that I've had is that I'm from a large family. I grew up one of 12 children. I'm number 10 of 12. And so I had many opportunities to see exceptional judgment being exercised and modeling that behavior. I've had multiple opportunities of seeing bad judgment being exercised. And so my point to you on that is pay attention to the people who you trust. Pay attention to the people around you. Not everyone is fortunate enough to be one of 12, but whether you have siblings, cousins, friends, classmates, pay attention to that. You can learn good judgment from watching other people exercise good judgment, and more importantly, exercise bad judgment. And the last thing I will share with you, because this is very personal to my experience in the, well, how do you get there, how do you do it? Other than watching other people, and sometimes stumble and fall yourself, for me, it's quite simple, it's biblical. I am a Christian, so if you're not, I'm cool with that. But for me, it's biblical. And this is something I live by, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I don't believe that I have it all. But I do try to pay very close attention to my environment, to the people that are around me. And I am very comfortable and very confident in the decisions that I make and how I exercise judgment, only because I know that it is not about me, that I don't have all the answers. But I'm very comfortable with the decisions I make. That's all I have.